Everything you've been taught about talking to women is wrong. The fundamental error you make is believing that attraction is a negotiation, a verbal chess match, where the man with the cleverest lines wins. You search for the perfect thing to say, the witty remark, the impressive story, all in an attempt to convince her mind that you are worthy. But her desire doesn't live in her mind. It lives in her body, in her nervous system, in the silent, ancient part of her that responds not to what you say, but to who you are. The most powerful words you can say to her are no words at all. It's a paradox that feels like a trap. You think your silence is a sign of failure, a void that you must desperately fill. But in reality, your anxious words are the static that drowns out the music of genuine connection. Her attraction is not a decision she makes, it is a response she feels to your presence. If this feels true, if you've ever felt that frantic need to speak only to watch the light in her eyes dim, then you understand this primal disconnect. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share your own experience in the comments below, because what we are about to uncover is the language that exists beneath words. You've been trying to appeal to her logic, presenting a resume of your personality, hoping she'll approve the application. But a woman's body is listening to a different broadcast entirely. It's listening to the rhythm of your breathing, the steadiness of your gaze, the way you occupy space. These silent signals tell a story far more compelling than any anecdote you could ever share. They speak of your internal state, your groundedness, your control. When you fill the air with nervous chatter, you are telling her that you are not comfortable in your own skin, and if you are not a safe space for yourself, you can never be one for her. The lie you believe is that activity equals attraction. You think you must do something, say something, perform in some way to capture her interest. This belief creates a constant, low-grade panic. You watch her for micro-expressions, for any sign of approval or boredom, and you adjust your performance accordingly. You lean in, you talk faster, you ask another question, all in a desperate attempt to hold her attention. But what you are really communicating is neediness. You are silently screaming, "Please like me, please don't leave." This pressure is exhausting for you and suffocating for her. She feels the weight of your insecurity, the unspoken demand for validation. It forces her into the role of an evaluator or a therapist. Two things that are the absolute antithesis of raw feminine desire. Your effort becomes the very thing that pushes her away. Tell me if you felt this before. Now, imagine the opposite. Imagine a silence that is not empty, but full. A stillness that radiates power, not anxiety. This is the space where desire is born. It is the language your body speaks when your mind finally gets out of the way. When you stop trying to fill the void, you become the void, a calm, magnetic center of gravity that pulls her in. Her feminine energy, which is by nature chaotic and flowing, craves a solid container. Your grounded, silent presence is that container. It is the unshakable mountain to her unpredictable weather. In your stillness, she feels a profound sense of safety and a thrilling sense of mystery. Who is this man who doesn't need to prove himself? Who is this man who is so comfortable with silence? In that quiet space you create, her mind stops analyzing and her body starts responding. She doesn't hear your words. She feels your essence. Her silence arrives without warning. It feels like a sudden drop in atmospheric pressure, a change in the air you can't see but can feel in your bones. One day the conversation flows, the next it's a desert. Her texts become shorter, punctuated by periods instead of emojis. The warmth recedes, replaced by a polite, impenetrable distance. Your mind, trained for problem solving, immediately flags this as a critical error. The siren screams, "You are losing her." This is the foundational lie, the poison that seeps into your thinking. You believe her attention is a finite resource that you have somehow squandered, and that immediate, frantic action is required to replenish it. This belief transforms you from a man into a panicked repairman, desperately trying to fix a machine you don't even understand, unaware that your fumbling is what's breaking it. This initial panic triggers a predictable and fatal chain reaction. You begin to chase. Your thumbs hover over the keyboard, drafting and redrafting messages designed to coax a response, to elicit a sign of the warmth you now miss so acutely. You ask questions you don't care about, just to keep the channel open. How was your day? Becomes a desperate plea for connection. You double text. You overcompensate with enthusiasm. Every action is an attempt to close the distance she has created. But what you are really doing is communicating a profound insecurity. You are screaming into the void, please notice me. Please don't forget me. This energy is suffocating. She feels it not as affection, but as a weight. You are no longer a source of calm strength, but a source of emotional demand. And a woman's primal instinct is to move away from anything that feels like a drain on her spirit. You misread her withdrawal as a verdict on your worth, when it is actually a reaction to your energy. When she says, I'm just busy, your analytical mind tries to solve the logistical problem. But you're missing the emotional subtext entirely. Her distance is a subconscious test. Life is constantly throwing chaos at her, and her nervous system is looking for a man who represents an anchor in that storm. When she pulls back slightly, she is unconsciously checking to see if you will remain steady. Will you panic? Will you crumble? Will you become needy and demanding? Your frantic attempts to fix the situation are a catastrophic failure of this test. You are proving that your emotional state is dependent on her validation. Instead of being the rock, you become another wave of chaos crashing against her, forcing her to retreat further to find solid ground. Believing the connection is broken, you shift into performance mode. This is the next stage of the lie. If your authentic self wasn't enough to hold her interest, you must now present an upgraded version. You start dropping hints about your successes, trying to sound more interesting, more mysterious, more important. You become a caricature of confidence, a walking advertisement for your own value. But a woman's intuition is a finely tuned instrument for detecting inauthenticity. She doesn't hear what you're saying, she feels why you're saying it. She senses the effort, the subtle tension behind the forced laughter, the need for approval hiding beneath the impressive story. You are trying to build a bridge to her with counterfeit materials, and the more you build, the less she trusts the structure. The real you, the man she was initially curious about, is now buried under layers of performance anxiety. This desperate need to manage her perception traps you in a prison of overthinking. You become a detective, scrutinizing her every word, her online status, the punctuation in her text. You replay past interactions, searching for the exact moment you went wrong. This analytical obsession is the epitome of masculine energy misapplied. You are trying to use logic to solve a problem of emotional polarity. You believe that if you can just understand her, you can control her response. But desire cannot be controlled, it can only be invited. It doesn't respond to logic, it responds to presence. While you are lost in the labyrinth of your own mind, analyzing the past and trying to script the future, the present moment, the only place where genuine connection can exist, slips by, completely unnoticed. You are trying to win a chess game while she's waiting to dance. Ultimately, your fear becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The distance you dreaded is the very reality you create. Your belief that she was losing interest caused you to behave in a way that was fundamentally uninteresting. You abandoned your center. You surrendered your power. You replaced calm, masculine presence with anxious, feminine energy, forcing her to move into her masculine pole just to create stability. She didn't reject you. She was forced to move away from the chaotic energy you began to project. The final, crushing silence you now experience is not a judgment of your worth, but the natural consequence of your actions, all born from that single initial lie. You think she made a choice, but she simply responded to the man you became the moment you started being afraid of losing her. The power to change this outcome was always within your control, not hers. The truth is, her withdrawal is not a verdict on your worth. It is a question directed at your core. You have been interpreting her behavior through the lens of your own ego, seeing it as a personal rejection. But her actions are not born from logic or malice. They are the ancient, instinctual language of her nervous system. She is not consciously deciding to pull away. Her body, the part of her that operates beyond thought, is conducting a test. It is probing your emotional foundation, searching for cracks. She has presented you with a moment of uncertainty, a small storm, and her entire being is now silently observing. Will you become the calm eye of this storm, the unshakable anchor, or will you be swept away by the same tide of anxiety, proving that you are just as unstable as the chaos she seeks refuge from? This is the question she is asking without uttering a single word. This subconscious audit is what we call a somatic test. It's not a game she is playing. It's a survival mechanism she is deploying. On a primal level, her body needs to know if you are a safe harbor. When she creates distance, she is watching to see how you handle the space. Your reaction is a direct broadcast of your internal state. Do you fill that space with frantic texts, anxious questions, and a desperate need for reassurance? If you do, you are failing the test in real time. You are communicating that your emotional well-being is dependent on her constant validation. This signals weakness. It tells her that you cannot hold your own center, and if you cannot hold your own, you will never be able to hold hers. Her attraction is directly tied to her feeling of safety, and a man who panics in the face of silence is, by definition, not safe. The fatal error you make is assuming her logic is the same as yours. You operate on a linear path of cause and effect. If I do more, I will get more. But her desire operates on the principle of polarity. Masculine energy is the stable container, the riverbanks. Feminine energy is the flowing, chaotic water within. Attraction sparks when these two poles are strong. When she pulls away, she is testing the strength of your container. But when you react with neediness and anxiety, you abandon your masculine pole. You become emotional, uncertain, and flowing. You become the water. In that moment, to restore balance and find stability, her energy is forced to become the container. She becomes the shore. This reversal instantly kills the sexual tension because the fundamental polarity that fuels desire has been inverted by your inability to remain still. You see her silence as an absence of connection, a void that must be filled. This is a profound misunderstanding. Her silence is not empty, it is full. It is full of observation, feeling, and intuition. It is the space she needs to process her own emotions and to feel yours. When you rush to fill that silence with words, you are not building a bridge. You are creating noise. You are drowning out the subtle, non-verbal communication that is actually taking place. You are showing her that you are uncomfortable with the deeper, quieter currents of human connection. Her silence is an invitation to meet her in that still, powerful space. It is a request for your presence, not your performance. By honoring that silence, by simply being with her in it, you communicate a level of confidence that no words ever could. Tell me if this is starting to make sense. Underneath all of this is her deepest, most primal need, the need for emotional safety. A woman can live in a state of constant emotional flux, a beautiful and powerful storm of feelings. Her biology drives her to find a partner whose emotional state is not a storm, but a mountain. She needs to know that when her world is spinning, yours is not. Your ability to remain calm, centered, and unaffected by her emotional shifts is the single greatest indicator of your masculine strength. When you remain steady as she pulls away, you are not being passive, you are being powerful. You are subconsciously telling her, I am here. I am not afraid of your distance. I am not afraid of your emotions. My reality is solid, and you are safe here. This is the foundation upon which her trust, and ultimately her desire, is built. This reveals a fundamental paradox of attraction. The more you try to control her response, the more you repel her. Your attempts to manage her perception, to say the right thing, to elicit a specific reaction. All of this comes from a place of fear. You are afraid of losing her, so you try to lock down the outcome. But desire cannot be caged. It can only be invited. It flourishes in an environment of freedom and authenticity. True power, the kind that creates deep magnetic attraction, is not about controlling her. It is about controlling yourself. It is the unwavering mastery of your own internal state. When you release the desperate need for her approval, you stop reacting to her and start acting from your own center. You become the cause, not the effect, and that is an energy she cannot resist. Her behavior, which once seemed like a confusing and painful rejection, is now revealed as something entirely different. It is an unconscious plea for your strength. She is not pushing you away because she wants you to leave. She is testing you to see if you are a man worth staying for. She is creating a challenge to see if you will rise to it. Every time she becomes distant, difficult, or emotional, she is subconsciously asking, are you the man? Are you the one who can handle this? Are you the rock I can anchor to? Your panic, your chase, your pleading, these have been your answers, and they have been the wrong ones. You have been seeing a closed door where there was actually an open invitation to step into your power. You have been misinterpreting the test as the final exam. And so the entire dynamic shifts. The power to reignite her desire was never in convincing her to come back. It was in becoming the man she would not want to leave in the first place. You must stop seeing her withdrawal as a reflection of your inadequacy and start seeing it as an opportunity to demonstrate your strength. Her distance is not a weapon against you. It is a filter designed to weed out the men who are not grounded in their own masculine core. The moment you understand this, the fear dissolves. It is replaced by a quiet confidence. You no longer need to chase her because you understand that your stillness is what will draw her in. You are not fixing a problem. You are becoming the solution that her soul has been searching for. This is the truth that changes everything. So, how does the centered man respond? When her silence descends like a thick fog, he does not grab a flashlight and run into it screaming her name. He simply breathes. He notices the shift in energy, the space that has opened between them, and he does not panic. Instead, he holds his ground. He feels the urge to reach for his phone, to type out that needy question, are we okay? And he watches that urge arise and pass like a cloud. His first action is inaction. This stillness is not passive. It is a profound declaration of strength. He is communicating without words that his emotional stability is generated internally, not borrowed from her attention. He understands that you cannot force a flower to bloom by pulling at its petals. True control is not found in frantic action, but in the deep, quiet power of non-resistance. He lets the silence be. His response is not a strategy. It is an embodiment of a deeper truth. He gives her the one thing the anxious man cannot, space. He doesn't just pretend to be busy. He actually invests his energy back into his own life, his own purpose. While the common man's world shrinks to the size of his phone, waiting for a notification that will validate his existence, the centered man's world expands. He goes to the gym. He focuses on his work. He connects with his friends. He reads a book. He is not waiting for her to return. He is continuing on his path. The psychological message this sends is monumental. It tells her that his life is a full, compelling journey, and she is invited to be a part of it, but she is not the entire destination. His happiness is not held hostage by her mood, and this self-sufficiency is the most magnetic force in the universe. When she eventually re-engages, as she almost always will, his reaction is subtle and powerful. He does not punish her with coldness, nor does he smother her with over-enthusiastic relief. He doesn't demand an explanation for her absence. He simply meets her in the present moment with a calm, steady warmth. His energy says, welcome back, I'm glad you're here, without his lips ever forming the words. He understands that asking, where have you been, is a question born of insecurity, an attempt to reassert control. By not questioning her, He demonstrates ultimate control, control over his own emotional state. He shows her that her emotional tides do not frighten him. He is the lighthouse, and her storm was just a storm. It passed. He remains. This is the essence of unwavering masculine presence. This is where the profound wisdom of letting go becomes a practical tool. You don't attract by chasing. You attract by becoming still enough to be seen. The desperate man believes he must constantly make his presence known, fearing he will be forgotten. The centered man understands that his presence is felt most powerfully when it is not forced. His calm becomes a vacuum that pulls her energy toward him. He is not playing a game of push and pull. He has transcended the game entirely. He has realized that the only person he needs to manage is himself. By mastering his own inner world, he creates an undeniable gravity in the outer world. He is not indifferent to her. He is simply independent of her validation, and that freedom is the very thing she craves to be near. His entire demeanor is one of non-resistance. The anxious man sees her withdrawal as a problem to be solved, a battle to be won. He fights against the reality of the moment, creating immense friction and tension. The centered man, however, accepts the moment for what it is. He does not resist her need for space. He does not fight her mood. He sees it all as part of the natural, flowing dance of the feminine. He understands a core philosophical truth. That which you resist persists. By trying to force her to be close, you only solidify the distance between you. By allowing the distance to exist without fear, you create the very conditions that invite her to cross it. He becomes a safe space for her entire being, including her shadows, her silence, and her storms. Ultimately, his calm response transforms the entire dynamic from one of anxiety and pursuit into one of gravity and attraction. He did not win her back. He became the man she would not want to be away from. His silence was not a tactic. It was a testament to his inner peace. His focus on his own life was not a ploy. It was a reflection of his purpose. He did not manipulate her emotions. He mastered his own. This is the great turning point. You stop seeing her as a prize to be won and start seeing yourself as the prize. Her desire is not something you take or earn through performance. It is a natural response to the man you become when you stop needing anything from her and start deriving your strength from your own unshakable core. And so you arrive at the great inversion. The entire time you were trying to solve the puzzle of her, you were neglecting the architecture of you. We began with a paradox. She pulls away not because she feels nothing, but because she feels too much. You first heard this as a mystery about her heart, but the truth is a mirror to your own energy. She feels too much of your anxiety, too much of your need for validation, too much of the frantic, grasping energy that leaks from you when your own center is weak. Her withdrawal was never a rejection of you. It was a desperate act of self-preservation from the storm you became. The moment you see this, the entire landscape of your interactions changes. You stop asking, what must I do to get her back? And you start asking, who must I become so that she never feels the need? The answer has nothing to do with her and everything to do with the game of attraction, the one you have been losing so painfully, is not won by learning better moves. It is won by realizing the game itself is an illusion. As long as you are playing, you are reacting. As long as you are reacting, you are not leading. The man she craves does not play. His presence is not a strategy. It is a state of being. He is the lighthouse, standing firm and shining a consistent light, unbothered by the violent waves that crash against its foundation. He knows the storm is not a personal attack. It is simply the nature of the sea. Your frantic chase, your anxious texts, your need for answers, these were the actions of a man lost in the storm, not the one providing the light. The ultimate power is to become so rooted in your own reality, so anchored in your own purpose, that her emotional weather systems pass by without ever shaking your foundation. This is the final turn of the key. You must become the man whose presence alone makes distance feel like a loss to her. This is not achieved through manipulation, but through embodiment. She doesn't want, your explanation for why you were calm during her silence. He wants to feel the undeniable stability that radiates from you when she returns. He wants to see that her absence did not break you, that her test did not rattle you, that you are a man whose world continues to turn, with or without her applause. True masculine leadership is not about controlling her. It is about demonstrating such profound self-control that she feels an instinctual desire to follow. You stop trying to be the man you think she wants and start simply and powerfully being the man you are when all fear is stripped away. That man needs no words. Look back now at her silence, at the distance that felt like a cold, empty void. See it differently. It was not an ending. It was an invitation. It was a space she created unconsciously to see if you were powerful enough to fill it not with your noise, but with yourself. Every interaction from this point forward is a chance to answer that invitation correctly. You are no longer a victim of her moods, but an observer of them, grounded in a peace that she cannot disrupt. This is the end of the chase. This is the beginning of gravity. The power was never in understanding her. It was always in mastering yourself. Now that you see this, the reflection in the mirror changes. Comment what you now see in her that you couldn't before.